We're live.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our fifth stream. We got a lot of fun stuff for you tonight. Hopefully, with me here we've got Takedown 52 Gaming and Helios, David and Jerry, and I'm your host, host, Justin. My Twitch handle is Captain Con.
It's cringy as over, so.
Oh, fuck you. We're gonna talk about some nice developments this week out of Microsoft. We got some for Americans, I guess, and maybe for the world, if this has any sort of ramifications for the general outside of the U.S. Microsoft's unveiling it, or will be releasing for the election this year in 2020. Their election guard. We got a first look at Windows X. iOS 13 is being ragged on by Tumblr engineers. Who'd have thunk it?
It's Tumblr. What do you want?
Yeah, I mean, come on. Apple's moving production away from China.
I don't know why.
Modern technology. This just in. Modern technology better than the Apollo 11 guidance computer. We've got Galaxy Z Gate. South Korea's moving on to Linux, apparently. Intel's got a brain on a chip. Facebook, a news site that publishes through Facebook, claims that it's their goal is to not spread the truth. Fucking media. Hackers and medical devices are a problem. Russia's doing its shit again. Tesla 6 years ahead of the competition, and Bezos for climate change. So, without further ado, Microsoft's most important product of probably the next decade, if not more, the election guard. It's designed to make voting machines safer, safe from hacking specifically, and it's meant to make hacking them pointless. So general concept of this is that it's applicable to all systems. I like this because it's applicable to all systems. It means that states and municipalities are not required to spend exorbitant sums of money to upgrade their devices. It's literally just the software, but as part of that software, you get you vote on the machine rather than cards, and the machine prints out two cards. One's your vote that you pass on to election officials, and the other one is like a QR code, and the QR code is meant to be scanned to determine whether or not your vote was when or if your vote was counted.
It's basically it's like if you're like checking your package, but for your vote.
Yeah, and I'd say this is pretty important, all things considered, because
I mean,
we live in a country.
Remember Iowa.
Okay, but what's the percentage of people who actually vote? What's the percentage of people who actually vote in this country? Isn't it like below 60% now?
Way below. Way below.
Yeah, people just don't give a shit anymore.
Well, I think that's going to be changing.
Because here's the thing. A lot of people say that they don't vote because they feel like it doesn't matter and they feel like their vote doesn't count.
All right, so
track your vote and making sure that it's not only counting, but you can actually see what number you are maybe among the votes.
I don't know if it tells you that much information, but I do know.
I mean, it would be a great tool to make it feel better to vote. And for maybe to have more, because regardless of who you're trying to get up on the stand, and this is just an overall thing, it's better to have more people voting.
Agreed.
It's
but
definitely better.
For reference, the number of American voters, or the voter turnout, percent of turnout last election in 2016 was 55.7% of the populace, I think.
And that's a huge amount.
That's 250,056,000 voters, give or take, was for the 2016 election. I expect the voter turnout to be somewhere in the 300 or 400 millions for this next election, but
it's a crazy election this year. But
this year's gonna be.
The thing is, if this ends up working out, we move closer and closer to possibly online voting.
Well, like one of the biggest complaints about the elections has been security and hacking.
Yeah.
A lot of the 2016 election was plagued by
By hacking of some
people,
sort.
yeah, by people claiming that Russia was hacking the ballot. Oh fuck, echoes. Sorry. Anyway, that Russia and China were hacking our voting system, or that Russia was spreading false information through our our election. And this may quell some of those complaints, hopefully.
I want to know how secure this is going to be, though. I want to see what actually. It's like, I want to see the result of this.
I would like to see how effective it is. I don't think it's going to see full adoption for the 2020 election, if I'm being 100% honest. I expect that maybe over the after that, maybe by 2024, we'll see full widespread use. It's being used in Wisconsin primarily right now. That's the state that the article
So
says
that's a testing state for it.
They're trying to protect their cheese votes.
So if you go down to how it works, it says Election Guard works through a process known as homomorphic encryption, a concept first introduced in 1987 by Josh Benalow, a Microsoft researcher and senior cryptographer. It says your vote is meant to be private. Private voter votes make intimidation or bribery useless, since no one can confirm you voted a certain way. Microsoft's encryption also keeps the vote secret by converting choices into random lines of code until they're decrypted. So it's essentially randomizing all the information you're putting in until it's decrypted using the proper decryption key, I guess, which kind of makes sense. Or should make sense. It says votes shouldn't be decrypted, however, since they're intended to stay private. Homomorphic encryption allows for counting votes while they remain secret, according to Benalow. It's sort of structured gibberish, the cryptographer said. Yes, it's gibberish. Yes, you can't tell what it is, but it retains enough structure that you can actually work with it rather than just ungibberishing it. So it sounds like it would be effective, and it might be a step in the right direction rather than using paper ballots that could get conveniently lost. I mean, let's be 100% real. Like,
they lose them anyways.
Look, man, I know I have to work with a lot of paper stuff, like paper bills, paper worksheets, paper checks. Like you just can't keep all of them all the time. You're gonna lose something eventually. So I get that.
Eventually.
Yeah. But every time, and it's always the same guy losing the same stuff. Makes you wonder.
You gotta wonder. Jesus Christ.
So, some of the concerns, the obstacles facing Election Guard as a system, obviously would be
prior attempts.
Would be cost. Would be a prior attempts. Yes, cost is really the big one. But fortunately, it's like I said, it's an open source software that can be adapted to just about any machine, which is convenient first and foremost. It kind of makes that a bit nice. But the real issue is that each one of the states has a different requirement for complying with the Election Assistance Commission. And getting that certificate from the EAC is going to be a huge challenge in the long run.
An actual bitch.
It's literally an uphill battle for Microsoft to publish this, to release this. But in the event that it does come to fruition as a product and hits the market, and it works, yes, that is the most important thing.
Important thing about this.
No point in releasing a product if it doesn't fucking work. Obviously.
Microsoft 2020 engages the entire world on the secrets of crazy laws and voting. Like, imagine like Windows goes up against the United States about voting and the actual reality behind it. I'm just being
facetious.
I don't believe this. I don't believe any of this, but it would be interesting. It would make a good story.
Yeah.
I look forward to seeing how secure we can make voting. And I look forward to seeing all of the naysayers getting fucking socks in their mouth because they're They can't complain about election hacking anymore.
Well, here's the thing: is I would really love for Putin to be like, "Congratulations, Microsoft! I can do nothing to you now. Congratulations, I'm done. I have to move on."
Yeah, I must disassociate myself with you now because you have a target on your head now.
Huh?
Supreme Emperor Putin.
What? You don't think he'll come out and be like, "We cannot hack anything for you anymore. We are sorry. It's all over. We got Trump into election, but now we cannot do anything else. Good luck, America."
Oh God. Jesus Christ.
I'm joking.
Are you?
I'll be a joke.
Are you really?
Yeah.
I don't believe you.
Being very sarcastic.
Uh-huh.
Look, I don't know what all the naysayers are gonna say, but I'm gonna say, good luck. Good luck, everybody.
Extremely interesting, and we'll see what happens.
Yep.
Are they using this in like the Wisconsin vote for the
For the primaries? I believe so.
Okay.
So soon?
Why not?
The thing is that the research has been around since the 80s.
Sure, I guess. Well, I guess we'll figure out sooner, I guess.
We'll see what happens.
Yep,
Hopefully,
sooner rather than later.
Right. So David, what is Windows 10X?
Windows 10X. I heard about it a few years ago. We had a
few years ago.
This is it was like last year or something like that. It was like
it came
2 years ago.
It came out with the most recent Surface announcements.
Yeah. So it's like a trimmed down version.
It's about a year old.
I believe it's like a trimmed down version of Windows, like Windows 10 for like their mobile devices
Is
that
it
they're
meant
trying
for
to
dual
do.
screen devices?
Yeah. Well, I don't think it's just for dual screen devices.
Yeah, it's here. It says right here on the article. Windows
Yeah.
10 is designed exclusively foldable and dual screen hardware.
Okay, so
yeah, we'll see how that works out. It'll just be well, if you have foldable, it's still one screen. All right, so it's just they're trying to adapt Windows, like a desktop version of Windows,
do you think
to a
this
mobile.
would be used on tablets at all?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a
tablet OS. This is like a tablet OS.
This would be entirely for the Surface devices.
But it's
if the Surface, because their Surface devices are all 2-in-1 right now.
Yeah.
They're eventual
They could
Surface
easily
devices.
do a foldable, but I feel like they'd have the window. I feel like they wouldn't do a. It would be under a different name, under a different
Nomenclature.
Yeah.
I mean, it
Like
looks a
the
lot
Windows.
more. It looks like a better attempt than the Windows 8. Remember that?
Well, we don't need. I think anything is a better attempt than Windows 8. Let's be real.
It will run like 32-bit software as well. I think it's being built for ARM or x86, but it will have a container for it based off of right here. It'll run Win32 apps in a lightweight virtual container.
It's not gonna be 64-bit.
I believe it's going to be an ARM based. It's either ARM based or x64, because 32-bit is falling off the map.
Yeah.
So it makes sense.
Well, I mean, there's the Surface X that's ARM based. Microsoft is kind of moving in that direction because ARM is
It's a lot lighter.
It's
a lot lighter. It's
more,
just that there's
more
a
power
bunch
efficient.
It's just not as like there's like it's like Risk, okay, like Risk 5. Remember that? It's just a new instruction set that is. If you're going to do something like build for new hardware, all right, you need more efficiency. You might want a like less complicated instruction set.
Though the biggest issue with running ARM and especially with the Surface X is that it has to emulate 64-bit processes, so it's a lot jankier on the Surface X, at least at the moment, than as an implementation than say like what will eventually be on the market for like the Windows 10X is a perfect example of software being developed specifically for ARM powered devices. I assume that next generation Surface X will be put with
they have like a demo of like Word on it over here. So you see, so you have like the keyboard and everything down here, and you have like the actual program up here.
Yeah, so this looks 100% like it's going to be on the Surface Duo, or maybe even a skin on the Surface Duo, and that comes out soon. It'll probably also end up being on the Surface Pro X. This probably functions in two parts. Windows 10X will probably end up being used as the GUI will probably end up being used as the Android skin for the Duo, and when the larger version of the Duo, the foldable laptop comes out, the dual screen foldable laptop comes out, it'll be used on that. Because I believe that'll end up being
Well,
ARM-based.
if you look
And
at
then we
the
have Surface Pro
devices that
X.
they use up here, all right, they had that one dual screen device.
Yeah,
right?
the left looks like the Surface Duo, and the right looks like the laptop.
It looks like a little tablet PC.
Yeah.
So, this is like the platform they're developing for. It's not like a desktop operating system. All right, but the UI looks interesting enough. It looks simple enough. There is a desktop. There is a simple desktop. You have like the start button. They're made a little bit bigger, and you have like a settings button. It's very something like straightforward. It's a very straightforward OS. It looks like to me.
Oh, what a wristband that runs Windows with a whole screen around a wristband.
God no.
It was in October that they announced it.
Yeah.
I'm trying to find the name of the laptop that they're releasing. Microsoft Surface event 2019.
I do see this working out more. I do see this working for the devices it's made for. All right. And it's a good thing that they're building a separate OS for it. Okay. They're not trying to fuck over the desktop users.
Surface Neo. The Surface Neo was the laptop
Fucking
style.
over the desktop users is what they're best at, by the way.
Anyway, the Surface.
Oh, we all know that they already had put out 2 updates that already gave BSD to a bunch of people and deleted files again.
Yep.
Bang this week.
Guys, the Surface Neo is the name of the laptop that they announced at the Surface event in October last year.
Is it this one right here?
That's what that is right there.
Yeah.
The Duo is the Android. Yeah, is the Android phone. Just for reference, figured that would clarify some stuff. So I figure the Surface Pro X and the Surface Neo will be ARM-based systems, and that will make having to use a quote-unquote emulator for processes less important because they have a custom, or not custom, they have a desktop amongst other things prepared for it now.
Well, it's definitely as you can see, they're using the new version of Edge on here. So
Chromium,
you won't.
The new Chromium.
Yeah, the new Chromium version of Edge. So I
I'm
don't think
not
Google
happy
Chrome
about
will
that.
be a necessarily download here because they're gonna have like basically an ARM version of it built right in. So the less you can use the emulation on this thing, if there is, I believe if it's built for ARM, I'm not entirely sure yet. Pretty sure it's built for ARM or like a low powered x64 system.
I can't see why it wouldn't be.
Alright, but it's very interesting. Like here's another UI test from it. Like you can see this is a start menu. That's it. You get your basic stuff. It's basically just an app launcher. Like it should be. Alright, and then you have a dock. It's like Windows and Mac OS had like a weird like offspring built for a two screen setup.
I would say it
because it has the dock at the bottom, like Mac OS, where you can just put stuff on, and then have a desktop on top of it.
I mean, but
very similar to like GNOME 2
Windows
on like
tablet
Linux.
mode looks like that too, though.
Yeah.
Like, have you ever used a 2-in-1, David, for home Windows?
God no. I am fine with my laptop.
I have a Flex 14, so it's got the
Surface
new
Pro 3.
3500U in it, 12 gigs of RAM, and it's amazing. I can play games on it if I really want to. It's got FreeSync, although
I wouldn't do it in
have to have
tablet
external
mode.
monitor. It's really for on the go.
Hey, it's better if they just built their separate OS from it because the separate OS, it's probably gonna run those the Universal Windows apps. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
So it gives them a way to actually gave you a reason to use the store for once?
I use the store, but that's because I'm an Xbox Game Pass Ultimate member.
Yeah, that's the only reason you use the store.
For games.
That's it. And it's only through Xbox Game Pass. That's all you care about. Otherwise, you can delete the store and not worry about it. Just go into PowerShell and delete the fucker. Anyway. It's a very interesting development. I'm a sucker for a nice, flat, interesting UI. So, this sort of tickles my fancy for it.
Tickles your pickle?
Shut up. Alright. But
Pickle Rick! No.
But just like looking at it, it's very simple. It's all you need. It doesn't have all like the crazy tiles taking up your screen all the time. Alright? It's very simple, and I like it.
It's a lot more clean than what the Windows 8, Windows 8.1, and their tablet mode look like.
It needs to be a clean OS for a mobile device. And it needs to be separate. It needs to be separate, which it is.
It's a
It's a separate OS.
Yeah.
So, if those devices end up working out, it's going to be down to this OS for the reason they work out. Otherwise, the device itself is not interesting enough. It has to work well with this. But folding stuff is not the best news right now.
Yeah. Windows 10X is interesting, but
well, before we jump on to anything else,
oh yeah, we have the iOS 13 stuff. So
yeah, we'll
Tumblr,
move on to the next operating system news.
So we're just going to get Tumblr their little spotlight for a minute. It's like they're saying iOS 13 is adware. I'm like, okay, and you act like this was a secret. You act like this is a secret. You're forgetting a bunch of companies are moving to services now instead of actually like releasing new devices.
Yep.
All right.
Cough, cough. Microsoft with games as a service.
Games as a service. You have a bunch of Google services. All right. That's built into Android. You have Microsoft building their own stuff into Windows. All right. It makes the same. It's just, and Apple's going to do the same thing.
Yeah. Right? But I just think it's funny that maybe like 10, not 10, like 5, maybe 6 years ago, iOS users looked at Android users, specifically Samsung, because everyone knows TouchWiz was full of adware and bloatware. And they were like, haha, your phone's got adware, my phone's clean and simple. Well, fuck you. Read between the lines, assholes. Like, it's like what goes around comes around.
Yeah, but back then, that adware no one actually would use.
Well, I mean, I had a Note 3, so in my particular case with TouchWiz, I ended up using a lot of the software that Samsung provided for its devices back then. Okay.
Because the only service I use that like is nice to have built to my phone is Apple Music. I don't actually use Spotify because it's cheaper. I get basically everything from Spotify, but for cheaper with Apple Music.
Spotify is fucking ass. I don't even want to go into how much I hate them.
Yeah, well, right. Spotify had a lot of legal issues in the past. I don't know. I haven't heard any news about it.
Here's the thing about Spotify.
Apple Music has the same music that Spotify does, and they both have a lot of missing artists and songs because of the lack of payment that artists receive, which is why I subscribe to Google Play Music.
I use Amazon Prime Music because I'm an Amazon Prime subscriber.
I have Prime Music, but I don't care. All right. The reason I bought Apple Music was because it was integrated into my phone nicely. Because it's right in my music app, and I don't got to worry about it.
And then I have Google Play Red. Well, I guess it's technically YouTube Premium.
Listen to this. So Apple's ads on their phone include Apple Music, TV Plus, News Plus, Wallet, and the App Store.
But Wallet's not an
app.
If
you're not using those products, you're going to get notifications every single time it notices that you don't use them.
No, I don't. I don't. Yeah. I have an iOS device. I've been on.
It's for iOS 13. Is iOS 13 out?
Yes.
The News.
All right.
iOS 13 has been the thing for like a while.
Say that the TV Plus and the News Plus and all those apps are on your phone.
I believe you can delete TV and news. Hold up. I'm 99% sure you can.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah, you
pretty
can.
sure you can.
You can.
They first they come preloaded. Second of all, they're paid services that Apple puts on their device. Yeah, you can delete them, but they're still gonna annoy you about it.
No, not once you delete them now.
I
do use the news app once from time to time. I've
No, what I'm
never
talking
had.
about is like inside these apps are advertisements for
Of course,
other
it's
Apple stuff.
it's like an extra
You
service.
say
What
of
do you-
course, you say of course because it's a service, but like that's exactly what they're talking about.
Yeah.
How like Apple's ecosystem is adware because it advertises for itself inside itself. Like that you don't I don't see advertisements for Google services inside of Google's apps because I mean
the only time I'll ever get a notification about it, or I ever did, was when I would open up YouTube and it would tell me, hey, YouTube has live TV, or hey, if you subscribe to YouTube Premium, you'll get Google Play Premium.
YouTube does it to me all the time, to be honest.
well, I have YouTube Premium and Google Play Music.
Yeah, you get it as part of the same bundle.
Yeah.
What's up, Gadgets? How you doing?
What's going on, bro?
And honestly, YouTube Premium has been the best purchase I've ever made because I watch so much YouTube, and not having any ads ever is kind of amazing.
I mean, no ads is amazing for anything. That's why I pay for no ads on Hulu.
I do the same. I just think that you're already paying so much into a premium ecosystem when you go into Apple that like.
Why are you
Can we just
paying
not
to
have
do
the
exactly what Apple
advertisements and
claims they
everything
set out
we have?
for?
I mean, the music app is not just supposed to be for people to listen to music that they're paying for. It's also for them to load in their own music onto the phone.
Yeah.
It's also for them to listen to music that they have on their Apple ID account. You know, having the advertisements is just a kick in the ass when you pay $1,400 for a phone and it's asking you to upgrade to some other service that you don't need every time you want to listen to music that's on your phone.
It hasn't done that to me, to be honest.
That's because you subscribe.
Okay, I've also been on the news app. I've been on, was it Arcade? The App Store has a section just for Arcade.
You
All right,
probably just haven't seen it. You probably just haven't like noticed it.
Like for example, when
just think about it in the
I know.
next week, and just think about like, because this isn't like a lie. This isn't like they're talking out of their ass. This is a legitimate problem that the entire industry, whether it's Google or Apple or anything else, is suffering from in various ways, shapes, or form.
I know.
No shit. Firefox actually supports picture-in-picture. I didn't realize that was a thing.
What's picture-in-picture?
Or 70. So yeah. All right. So basically, like when you're watching a video, you right-click on it, and then you set it to picture-in-picture mode. It's similar to like with what's it called? When you have the YouTube app rolling on an Android device and you go to the home screen.
I just like had like a little window, like a pop-out window.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, that's interesting.
Ooh.
It's cool. I didn't realize Firefox enabled that.
Oh.
So we're going to talk about Apple moving over to China. I mean, moving out of China.
Apple has been suffering just as much
as everyone.
As everyone has.
Everyone does not like this virus is causing so many problems.
So, as the Wuhan coronavirus continues to spread in China, Apple decides that they're going to move some of their manufacturing
to Taiwan
of its top devices, not just its mid-range.
Oh no, people are probably going to move out of China from this.
To Taiwan.
A lot of companies are moving out of China. I believe
after
Apple has begun to move.
Especially after
according to a report of AM 730, the products listed in the report to be shifted to Taiwan include the AirPods Pro Lite. That's a name of a product.
That's a thing.
The AirPods Pro Lite, iPads, and Apple Watches.
I want to just verify.
The fuck? Okay, hold on. What is?
That's an actual thing.
That's a thing. Hold on. This is the first time I'm hearing about it too. Hold on.
It's It's from Tom's Guide. Apple AirPods Pro Lite release date and release date for June. That's
it's an
a
entry
thing.
level
What
version
is
of Apple's
it?
AirPods Pro.
Why would they make an entry level version of a professional product?
Because they're Apple.
Yeah.
Can I shoot myself?
Yes.
Um,
Do it. Do it,
so
bitch. Try
it's literally okay. So here's the tiers. You have AirPods, AirPods with Qi charging, AirPods Pro Lite. It's free real estate. AirPods Pro.
That's free real estate.
I'm dead.
I did not hear about this. This is
I'm
the most,
absolutely
this
fucking
is the most
dead.
under, like, out of nowhere thing. I did not hear about an AirPods Pro Lite. Okay.
I just have to say, I sincerely appreciate Samsung's compartmentalization. It's just the Galaxy Buds. You don't need anything else.
The Galaxy
You
Buds
don't.
Plus.
Well, no, the Galaxy Buds, the original Buds, are dropping down to the $100 price point. The Buds Plus are pretty much their front runner.
So what's interesting is that this is going to be a new price range.
They're literally competing with themselves. Are you? That's fucking moronic. No, we're not. Before I have an aneurysm from sheer stupidity, we're moving on. Let's avoid the AirPods Pro. Let's talk about companies in China.
Yeah.
All right. So.
Oh god.
It is estimated that at least 1/3 of China's production lines will lay idle in the first quarter of this year.
MSI being there's all right. So in China that I know that are being impacted as of this moment, MSI, LG, Samsung, and Apple clearly. There's a couple other major factories in China that are pretty much on halt for the moment. Yeah, 1/3 of China's industry is on hold. I guess Donald Trump is getting what he wanted now.
Technically.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's gonna die when the heat comes.
This coronavirus is kicking, especially when you hear it's not confirmed completely yet, but you know the fish market they traced this virus back to?
So if we're talking about food potentially infected with the from the coronavirus, we're talking about food production being stalled.
No, where they tracked the virus's origins to?
Well, where was it?
Snakes. Bats and snakes.
Yeah, but you know that were in that seafood area. Do you know what was not even a mile away from that seafood market? A level 4 biovirus freaking research facility.
China, you done fucked up again.
It's not fully confirmed, but there's a lot of evidence saying there was likely a containment breach.
God damn.
A containment breach causing the coronavirus in China?
Yep.
If
that sounds like another day.
That is what happened. And I'm not
level 4 is like the high, I think it's like one level before, like,
if China,
quarantine everything, burn it. All right, don't let it live.
Did this to themselves. They did this to themselves.
All right.
I mean, all jokes aside, though, regardless of whether or not it's a conspiracy theory or it's legit, the problem is that China's food source is contaminated regardless. Their food source has always been contaminated because of mercury in the water. Well, but now it gets even better. Hypothetically thinking that there's a chance that a virus got unleashed in their own lakes. But my real understanding, though, is that in Wuhan specifically, it's a tradition to eat bats, and those bats eat snakes, and this coronavirus has traces of snake DNA, or evolution from snakes.
The thing is, DNA. There was a guy who was, because in this facility they're actually working with the bats. All right, there's bats in this facility. All right, and they're doing testing on the disease, and there's been reports and accounts of a few researchers who got come in contact with either blood.
All right, so real quick to answer Gadget's question, sorry to cut you off. It's the whole thing is a fringe theory perpetuated by Senator Tom Cotton, but regardless,
it's not a fringe theory. All right,
disease created. This disease isn't necessarily created. So coronaviruses are extremely common. the first and foremost, the common cold is a type of coronavirus.
Yeah.
And every year there are new strains of
It
said
depends on
coronavirus.
how it mutates.
What a virus is if for anyone that doesn't know, is it's essentially injected code into your DNA
It's injected,
that will remain with you permanently.
It is a way of transferring DNA.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, as for all intents and purposes, this could literally be just a mutation of the common cold in bats and snakes. That because these people eat bats and snakes, they ended up getting sick with it.
Yeah.
Because it got it stuck.
So
to their DNA.
here's the thing about the guy who So there's about, I believe, two researchers who got in contact with infected bats at the facility. Of course, with air quotes. Remember, this is still not fully confirmed yet. But one of them had one of the blood from one of the bats spray on him. Very little, but he then quarantined himself for 2 weeks. Okay. Like, voluntarily quarantined himself. And another guy did the same after he was bit by one of the infected bats. Okay. This is that was a big problem. This is possibly where the breach happened.
Coronavirus is really fucking up China and that part of the world right now.
Well, it's crazy to think that it's crazy to think about that, you know?
Because the laboratory that is because there's a biolab not even a mile away from the seafood market, which they trace parts of the virus to.
Well, I mean,
you know how ridiculous that is.
I mean, think about let's think about other ridiculous things if it comes to bioresearch labs. The CDC has strains of some of the most violent viruses in history.
Yes.
Like, we're talking about polio and measles, mumps, all that other shit, you know?
Yeah.
So it's not like it's unheard of for potent virus and the bacteria and disease strains to be kept in labs, you know? That shit happens. But in this particular case, though, the hypothetical that China did this themselves is
yeah,
it sounds China-like. And yeah, 10% of the world's population is now under quarantine because of this. All of China is a giant flight risk, and China's population.
It's on a level 4 flight risk, meaning if you're not a government official, you are not going in and out.
Or if you don't work for the CDC, you're not going anywhere near that.
Exactly.
But
it is already in the U.S. There's only been 5 cases though.
Yeah, level 4 flight risk.
Meaning if you're not a government official or working with the government or the CDC, you're not allowed to China or back. Alright? That's why it's so hard to get anything out of China right now.
Get you on a
so here are the different here are the different I guess risk management assessments. This comes from the FAA, Federal Aviation Administration. The things that define a flight risk are or even just a travel risk in general, or like weather conditions, and like so it's environment, external pressure, so like whether or not there's some sort of military engagement going on in the country. Environment would be like hurricanes, volcanic eruptions, and obviously there's other factors like pandemics.
Yes, that's what's being used right now.
Right. That's the most accurate word for the coronavirus. Is a pandemic. There are cases of it that come from all over the world. So,
and there already been 5 confirmed cases here in America.
Yeah,
they've been up at the northwest, so there's none been down at the southeast where we are.
Yeah, well, 5 is a lot when you think about how fast this virus spreads. You know, it's from person to person. No one's sure if it's through saliva or touch. Air.
5 confirmed.
There are more than that now?
Damn. Well, all right, guys, it's over. Good luck. It was great knowing you.
And I'm positive, by the way, that China's misreporting some of their numbers.
Oh, they are.
With regards to deaths.
They're trying to lessen the blow from this because this is really hurting their economy right now. Because they're not able to trade. They're literally like And they can't say anything about it either because they can't be like, you guys don't want to trade with us because we're China. No. You guys literally have like a pandemic that will kill. Known cases of the coronavirus. I'll pull this up myself.
Positive 15 in the United States, 392 negative, 60 pending. So there's a total of 467.
Yeah, see, it's been mostly on the West.
Yeah.
All right. There's only been a few. There's only like
there's
one case or two.
There's a lot more travel between China and the Western United States.
Yes, because there's
California,
closer.
Texas. Yeah.
There's one case in Texas.
Yeah.
Jesus.
And I believe
I'm amazed there's a case in Texas because you guys remember it can be killed by alcohol.
Illinois, Massachusetts is the potential case in the Northeast. All right.
Anyway, it's really hurting China. It's beyond hurting China.
Okay, makes sense. All right. I understand that now. All right then.
It hurt. It's their market's going to hurt really bad.
More than that, I imagine that,
and it's going to last a while, even after, because this thing will sooner or later get resolved. All right.
I imagine that prices are going to be significantly higher for a good 6 months or so after the coronavirus issue is solved.
And the chances of companies actually going back, I think, is very low.
Especially because it's clear now that China can't manage its general health.
Yes, it can't.
Here's the other thing. All of these companies that are leaving now, they've all been wanting to leave China for the longest time.
Now they have the excuse to.
They've been forced to do so. The reason they stayed in China is because
cheap labor.
That's where the prices are good.
Yeah.
But if they're being forced to leave, they got to find other places.
I hope this means a return.
I can compare.
I hope this means a return to American manufacturing.
It's not going to be fully returned to American manufacturing. We're still going to have offshore shit. And there probably will be stuff still made in China. But for the moment...
At some point. It's going to cost more for them to update their factories and conditions in China versus just build a couple new things elsewhere.
You did bring up a good point. It takes a lot of money to move out.
Yeah, it does take a lot of money.
So it's an investment to get out.
Go back is going to be just as much money.
Yeah, for them to go back or for them to even leave, it's probably going to end up being about the same because they're going to need to move all their skilled employees.
There's no reason to move back at this point.
Yeah, we're talking about, all right, so a good example would be for the tech companies. Like, we're going to get new launches for graphics cards with Ampere really soon. And all of the NVIDIA Chinese factories are probably closed. For them to retool and produce on all new... I guess it would be I guess if there was a profit for the companies, they would return to China. But, that's to be determined, obviously.
Especially since we don't know how long this virus is going to last.
Yeah, for all we know, this could go on for another 8 months.
It will end, all right? But we don't know how long it will. Because Ebola was in and out within 4 months.
But this is going on what? When did the first whistleblower appear for the coronavirus?
It was last month. We've only been a month into this.
Really?
Yeah, and it's in China, not the United States.
Yeah. I believe they're actually...
I don't know how good their... I don't know how their stuff is over there.
There's people saying it's like Mao sort of like containment forces. Like people are like, you can be in a school.
All right, so it's been about 2 months.
You can be in a school and there will be some guy with a giant, basically a leaf blower with a bunch of like Purell walk into your classroom just in case.
No known estimates for a vaccine. Nothing known for when there would be a potential vaccine, or if there would be one.
I mean,
there will be one. There will be one.
Make a vaccine.
Coronaviruses are known for having rapid evolution, and a problem with a vaccine for, say, this specific strain of coronavirus. In 2 months, it could be entirely useless.
I know.
So it's literally playing the waiting game and hoping it dies out on its own.
The good thing about being alive now and having a bunch of these computers is that we're able to actually like predict We're able to predict how it's going to fold, like the genes folding, and how it's going to mutate.
Shit, that's right. The Tokyo Olympics.
All right. Yeah.
Japan's healthcare is pretty good, though. I imagine that for the most part, they'll be pretty good.
But I mean, what are we gonna tell China not to show up?
No.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, is it? I mean,
fuck China.
No, I'm not making sarcastic. I'm asking, what is the solution to this?
I would
They can't compete
say
this year.
China can't compete.
They can't compete this year. They have it. They have a pandemic. They literally cannot leave their own country. All right. They are not allowed to.
Yeah, unless they raise them all.
All right.
To,
If you are, I'm pretty sure if
power.
you're leaving China right now and you are caught, all right, they will not take risk. They will actually just incinerate you. All right. There's probably a blockade around almost every port in China.
Yeah, you're right. You're
All
right. They're probably
I imagine that's the case.
All right. The chances of
They
getting
wanna
out of that
get
country right now are very slim
Little
and
to
none.
Yeah,
Okay.
little to none.
Especially after we heard about the remember last week where we brought up that they tracked that guy in China?
Oh yeah, last week when we talked about I'm not sure about the Chinese woman in New York, but last week before I don't think you were unless you saw the video from last week, Gadgets. We talked about how China had the Chinese police and the employer of this one man, unnamed for his own safety, was in the Wuhan area and potentially came into contact with people that were infected. So the Chinese authorities and this man's workplace told him he needs to stay in his home for a period of 12 days in order until they can confirm whether or not he's contracted the virus. Like 10 days in, at like what he said was 4 o'clock in the morning,
he walked down the
left
street
his
for a second
house to just go and get some fresh air. He walked out of his house. Within 2 hours, this man's workplace had come into contact with him, asking if he had left. So
the authorities.
Yep. So I am 100% positive that the Chinese government has eyes on anyone and everyone that could hypothetically be a carrier.
Exactly. So the chances of getting out of China are very slim.
Yeah.
All right. Even if you don't have it, even if you're clean as a German snow, all right.
I imagine that China would be turned into a parking lot in the event that they accidentally let, or even intentionally let, someone slip through the safety net.
Yeah. It would not be good.
It'll be a new fucking parking lot.
All right.
So
yeah.
Yeah.
China, fuck them.
China's still a shit show. Who'd have thunk it?
All right. Now we got Justin's favorite thing of the day.
All right, so this is totally for kicks and giggles, but developers are finding, this comes from Gizmodo. China nukes itself to contain the zombies. Yeah, it sounds like something China would do. So our next topic and the meme of the day are developers finding out that USB chargers have as much processing power as the Apollo 11 guidance computers.
I believe it.
And it seems pretty obvious when you think about it. You know, the guidance computers on the Apollo 11 rockets were antiquated. Even
their traces for that rocket, that computer for that rocket, were like solid wire, like actual like wire you can hold, like basically as much as this. Dude, there were the traces for each one.
Just the traces, dude.
All right. There was no PCB. Everything was hand soldered.
Yeah.
All right. For the time, it was ridiculous.
Solder job.
It's basically the world's best solder job.
It took a team of rocket engineers to design those literally rocket engineers to design those computer guidance cones for the rockets.
Now there's a freaking computer hundreds of times more powerful than that is like about this big.
Yep, about the size.
It's basically my Raspberry Pi.
Yeah, it's just amazing, and I thought it was telling of the times. You know, I can't imagine in what 30 or 40 years. Let's use the timeline from the Apollo 11 launch to now. That's 50 years almost.
It is.
The Apollo 11. Yeah.
years.
yes, I did 50 years. In 50 years, I imagine that that there will be computers the size of button batteries.
Yeah.
Yet we haven't been back to the moon.
I mean, we are.
I am a firm believer that the reason why we haven't been back to the moon is that there's aliens living on the dark side. I'm sorry, I had to make the joke.
You sure? I just to like remove you from the call right now.
In all seriousness, though,
We are starting a mission to Mars,
wait,
though.
Does this have a vote to kick function?
No.
Fucking moon landing night looking ass.
But
on a serious,
it's too expensive though for us to go to the moon at the moment, and it's even too expensive for us to go to Mars. But we have private companies that are making out that are taking that in.
Yeah, good on Elon over here going off.
Oh, have you seen Apollo 13? I need a headphone jack for your button on your button. I like the headphone jack on your button because those don't exist anymore.
Yeah.
What's a headphone jack? Haven't seen those in over a year.
Bluetooth.
Anyway. But yeah, that's our meme for the day, and I felt like it was necessary to do it just for shits.
Remember a few years ago when they were like, your iPhone is as powerful as like the space station for Apollo and everything. Like your iPhone 4.
Now it's chargers.
Yep. Now it's chargers.
All right, now we get to one of the big fun topics of the night.
Me and Justin
Galaxy Z Gate.
Me and Justin had an argument today over this today.
It wasn't as much of an argument as it was.
I'm gonna let you guys go. You guys just go off. Go.
Right.
Go. Enjoy yourself.
So I'll go first. Justin, just wait till I'm done.
No, fine.
The Galaxy Z Flip has a plastic screen. It is not glass. And Samsung knows it. Glass scratches at level 6 and 7. And if you take your nail to the Galaxy Z Flip, you will scratch the fuck out of
it. How did this pass? I want to know that.
Wait. Unlike the Galaxy Fold, or like the Galaxy Fold, Samsung decided to tell everyone it had a glass layer. Unbeknownst to the rest of us, the Fold has the exact same glass layer, but they did not tout that one as a glass display. Here's my final issue. If you have a plastic layer on top of glass, the plastic will scratch and give you a nice blemish on the display, and the glass is so thin that when it shatters everywhere. So you better keep the AC turned up, because if it gets too cold, that shit gonna break. Because when you want a shattered and scratched display, you buy a Samsung Z Flip or any other Fold.
Well, the Fold seems to have significantly less issues than the Flip does. Whatever reason.
Didn't it literally snap in half for when the first guy who literally opened it for the first time?
That's for the Euro. That's for
the
pre-updated model.
Allowed. It has to do with the polymer. They might not have used the same glass or polymer or whatever in the Fold, but apparently the Fold also has this thin glass thing inside of the display. The second generation, the second version of it, the newer one that actually got released.
All right, hold on, go down, scroll down, David.
What's up?
Scroll down.
See, like with this?
Scroll down, just slightly. Back to that GIF.
Yeah.
All right, so was it that was from the Samsung Unpacked, right? Yeah, it was. All right, it even shows right there when they're pulling the screen up. There's two separate layers: the glass layer and the plastic layer. So I don't know why people automatically assumed that
but
it was solid
it's
glass.
way too thin.
My concern is not that there is a plastic glass layer. It's about the fact that the one that you interface with is the one that should be the most durable.
I'm not disagreeing with
that. That's just my opinion on that.
The argument that a lot of people are making.
It's not like you can't interface with plastic, but you cannot claim that it is as durable or scratch resistant.
Well, no, they didn't say it was scratch resistant, but the thing that the glass does is it adds rigidity.
But they also didn't say that, hey, this is basically the same as the Fold display.
Why would they? They didn't need to. It's not like
they did need to, because there were a lot of people who thought that this screen was entirely made of glass.
Read between the lines. They literally showed an animated GIF
read between the lines, but I mean, I know the consumer is supposed to do all that stuff, but like as a consumer, I mean, I feel like they kind of did one dirty on it.
I mean, I'm not saying it wasn't a bad business practice, but not only did they not lie like people are claiming they did. People are like, oh, they lied, false advertisement, bad business practice. Not
Okay,
only did they not lie,
it's a bad business practice, and it's really frowned upon to do this sort of thing because
Did it actually
they
just straight
did
up
not-
snap in half? I want to see this.
no, it
freaking-
didn't snap in half.
No,
Okay,
there was one guy who
so
had it.
Apparently, when the
One guy
weather
who
hit,
had it and it was too cold, and he opened it while it was too cold, and it went
it snapped.
into the crack. I could show you the picture.
It's the same thing for the
concern
Razer phone too.
at
Yeah, it
all-
literally snapped right here.
Like if people like this are buying these phones, it says it's
Look at it.
glass. It says it feels way
Yes.
sturdier than the Fold. Doesn't feel like the plastic I had. Maybe it is glass. Let me take my fingernail to it. Oh,
I mean, I'm not saying what Samsung did is right, but I'm also saying this is pretty much a first generation product. There, if you bought it, knowing what you got into.
I don't get
it's not
this
a first
folding.
generation product. It's a foldable. Therefore, right now it's the second foldable phone.
No, it's the first Galaxy Flip. And the Galaxy Fold is still
Yeah, but
in its
the
first
screen
generation.
technology is the same. I mean,
Yeah, but the screen technology is
splitting
not going to
fucking hairs
evolve that
here.
much.
We're splitting fucking hairs.
I don't
I mean,
like this
yes.
foldable trend at all either. All right.
I mean,
don't know
the
why.
problem is
I
that-
think it's great. I think we should just be a little bit more.
I
honest.
feel like they're
Things
using it
are
for the wrong
not as
product.
durable. I think we just need everyone to sit down and go, okay, all foldables, not just the Galaxy Fold, not just the Royal Flex Pi,
Yeah.
and yes, including the Z Flip, are not durable screens. They're not as durable as you are used to. You have to treat
Like-
them as completely different types of devices. You cannot put this phone in your pocket with keys.
That's why I'm really looking forward to what graphene
can't-
will.
You cannot.
No, that's not true at all.
accidentally snag-
You can put it. You can.
I mean,
put it
yeah,
in your
it's a
pocket with these.
clamshell, so it's fine. Whatever. But you know, but you know what I mean. It's like you can't let it hit up against glass, or even harder
Yeah.
plastics or metals because you will destroy it.
Jerry, I wanna ask you for something. I think the technology is interesting, but I feel like they're using it for the wrong way, and the completely wrong way. All right.
Well,
Because
I mean,
here's what I
this-
thought when I heard about.
Smartphones are a huge sector.
I know,
People spend a lot of money.
but
on
no one really
on it.
complained about the size of their phone. If anything, they wanted them bigger. All right, and folding them was just a pain in the ass. All right, that's why we don't have
Look,
folding phones
this
anymore.
is a new technology that
Alright.
they're trying.
Wait
to
a
get
second.
off
Hold
the
on.
ground.
Hear me
so
out. Hear me out.
they-
Hear me out.
they
Hear me out.
have-
hold on, both of you. You're both talking over each other. Let
Here-
one person
Well,
finish. and
David,
move
let
on.
me finish the sentence because he finished his. It's like whatever. Finish your sentence, dude.
Both of you behave.
All right. So when I heard about the foldable screen thing,
Children.
I thought it was interesting, but when I heard they were doing it for a phone, I'm like, no. All right. What it needs to be done for is like an entertainment system. All right. Because as far as I've seen, because I've seen the fold in real life. All right.
What do you mean an entertainment system? Are we talking like TVs? Because
Yeah, like a
those
TV.
already roll upable.
Yeah. Like
TVs.
just
Like,
have it
yeah.
as like a roll-up TV. All right.
LG already has one.
Exactly. That's what it should be used for.
There's
Alright.
the wall. There's the LG fucking magnet wall TV
Yeah,
thing.
but
and then
those
there's
basically
LG.
what
those
I-
devices are going to be so expensive.
Okay.
They are.
Right now.
Okay, but there's less of
I
a
get
chance
that
of something
that's what you
hitting
wanna
it.
use them. The reason that they're using it in the phone space is that they're using the phone space to make enough money to develop this technology for other stuff. This is where they have to start. Because what other place? TVs? Yeah, because we're gonna put these giant foldable displays on TVs and we're gonna sell them for $10,000. We're gonna buy them in the first generation. That's why you make a phone. Because a phone can have a very small version of this foldable display that they want to make huge, and
High
they can sell
availability.
it and also make a profit.
I'm
Yeah,
gonna say though.
That's the reason that they have this in the phone industry. I can't think of any other reason why you would want foldable on a phone other than the fact that it's the easiest space to put it into and make money on.
I just don't like
you
this
wanna
trend.
put foldables
I
on
don't
gaming
like this
computers?
folding trend. No, hell no.
Foldables
God,
on-
do not bring that up ever again. For the love of God, don't ever say that again. Alright? Do not do that
I'm
ever
gonna play
again.
CS:GO on my foldable watch.
Jesus Christ, no.
I'm gonna go like.
Save me, please.
Real quick.
Foldable displays can be used for like sunglasses and stuff. They could be
Yes, a wearable would be another good example.
A wearable one would be great.
All right, but phones
like a wristband would not be a terrible idea to have a let's say instead of having your phone, you have like this little device right here. It's like a watch. It's all the way around. It's a foldable display. And
yes,
it has like a little version of Android watch or something.
I don't know. You know what? Why didn't they just do the phone? Why didn't they do this to wearable first? All right, instead of the phone. All right.
Because they won't do it and sell as many.
Okay, but they can still field test it and everything. All right.
I'm not.
It would make much. It would literally make much more of a sense at that point too. All right. The only reason is it's like your phone goes.
Samsung.
Samsung.
But that's what they did.
This is why.
I just wanted them to be a little bit more honest. If you can just be if you had honest business practices in this community, you will literally get latched onto. Seriously.
All right. Like, my problem with Samsung.
I don't get it. And
I've said this multiple times. My problem with Samsung is that as soon as they get their hands on a new toy, they throw it in a product, send it out. Right.
Need I remind you, by the way, that graphene is still a thing. There are graphene screens that can do 90-degree fucking bends and will not shatter. The problem is that it's super expensive to produce graphene in a lab at this point.
I know.
And that the availability of graphene and the quantities necessary is not high enough. But at some point in time, graphene will be used in both batteries and screens, as it is as flexible as rubber, but as resistant as steel, and it can also hold a battery charge. I'm just putting it out there that is a step in the next direction, or
a step in a direction.
So, yes, sorry, words.
Yes.
It will be the step. It will be the next direction for phones to go in. Will be for potentially graphene screens and batteries, whenever they eventually come to market, because they will at some point.
This is really like, this is even more of a fuck up than the original like full Galaxy Fold launch. Okay.
See,
because this thing actually got out to market. This thing actually went out to market like this.
I believe that they released a foldable without having like a review.
Didn't they learn anything from the Fold?
Well, I think they learned a lot from the Fold, but that screen was a lot larger. You have to understand that the surface area was large enough so that in colder environments that still had enough space and didn't have the same issue. So when you have this, whenever you make something smaller, you increase the tension put on various points when you bend when you have a smaller screen and you're folding it like that. Maybe there's something to see there.
I don't know. This is just like,
I'm not concerned about it. Eventually they'll get it right. I'm not.
I think.
Yeah, but no one will be interested in a folding phone at that point.
I think the interest will remain. The problem is that phones are too bland. They're all the same shape. They're all the same size. They all have the same stuff.
I want Samsung to make a dual screen rather than like a foldable. The Note Plus 2.
Oh God.
Nah, I don't see that as a next logical step. I think. I think that form factors will change. They need to change. They're getting too boring. The fact that every phone pretty much looks alike, has the same camera layout and all that other shit, just kind of adds to that. You know, it's boring, and that the foldable market is another.
I just don't see this foldable thing actually taking off. I don't.
I think it will.
It's not.
I don't.
It's not.
I do not.
Yeah.
Okay. They fucked up the Fold. All right. Now, while it might have released after all their freaking shit that went on with the phone, it might release fine, and it's now a fine phone. All right. They fucked it up so many times before they got it right.
It's not like there's not.
Then their second try to release a product without fucking it up. All right. Failed horribly again. Okay.
But see,
one time
they haven't got it though.
Yeah, they haven't figured it out, and they're
will,
still trying. This is their second attempt after a shit launch of the Fold.
It's
and this
error,
probably also has a bigger problem because the Fold, it just doesn't scratch as much as this, at least. Okay, this is ridiculous.
Samsung's got All right, so put this into perspective.
What up, Bigfoot?
Samsung's got.
What's going on?
What's going on? I'm just gonna say that Samsung has money, resource, lots of money, lots of assets, lots of manpower, and lots of time. They also have lots of research. They will get there at some point. It's a matter of when.
But here's my thing. You have all these failed launches. Okay.
What? Since when has a failed launch stopped them? The Galaxy Note 7 exploded. You know what they did a year later? They released a better Galaxy Note, and just to.
But they've already had 6 successful releases before that.
Pause. Stop. And then following that, they re-released the Note 7, calling it the Galaxy Fan Edition. It's not a matter of Samsung doesn't care about the consumer. It's a matter of they have time, money, manpower, and drive. The folding phone market will eventually work out for them. It's a matter of time. It's a matter of
as the tablet market working out for them. Google will rob that too.
The tablet market.
The only company the tablet market worked out for is a little bit of Microsoft and mainly Apple.
The tablet market flopped for everyone because Apple had already monopolized the market with the iPad, and that's just kind of a plain and simple. Everyone kind of realizes that response
because they couldn't match the iPad in functionality.
No, they couldn't. Microsoft ended up coming up out of nowhere though with the Surface, but that happens to be because their production costs were low because they literally took a block of aluminum and magnesium, milled it, stuck the components in with a fan, and glued it together, and then gave it a pen. Windows was the perfect ecosystem for that because of how cheap it could have been compared to the Apple. You don't have to pay the Apple tax when you're buying a Surface, and frankly, there's not really even a Surface tax.
Well, how much is a Surface compared to a normal iPad?
Tax.
The Surface
tax.
The Microsoft Surface is slightly cheaper than the iPad.
Which one? The iPad Pro, the iPad.
If you buy the Microsoft Surface Go, it's cheaper than the iPad Mini, I believe.
The Apple tax is about 10
how much is like $250?
The Surface tax. The Apple tax is about $1,000, and the Surface tax is about $100.
Yeah,
give me a goddamn Windows phone. Shut up, bro.
Listen, I'm really looking like we talked about it before. I'm really looking forward to that Surface Duo. It won't be Windows per se, but it will use Microsoft's Aero launcher. It will have the Windows companion built in. It'll have a lot of Windows-centric software built in that, frankly, might be a really good fit if you have a big-ass gaming computer and feel like accessing some of your shit on the side. Yeah. Microsoft is really in a good place for that. Samsung, like Samsung, Microsoft has drive, money, and no fucks given. They will invest their money in products. If they fail,
Microsoft has way too much money at this point. They'll just do shit.
I mean, that's entirely the thing that Samsung's got going for them, and I think that's why at some point the folding form factor, or even the dual screen form factor at some point, will be successful. It's just a matter of time. There will always be a market for it. I'm the type of person that when I see that it's successful, I will buy it because it's got a big screen. It might have the pen interface like the Note. Shit, if they released a foldable Note and the technology was proven, I would buy that in a heartbeat.
I know you would.
But that's because that's the type of application I want. I want a big-ass phone that's got a big-ass battery, a big-ass screen, a lot of storage, a lot of RAM. It's got a lot of functionality, and I want it to be clean.
You want a gaming computer in your hand.
You know what? You're not necessarily wrong, and that's I have a Switch.
No, the Switch ain't powerful enough.
But that's the thing. That's what I want, and I think eventually Samsung will get there. And it's just a matter of me being patient and a smart buyer and knowing when it's time to invest. That's why I always give That's why I always give every product like a rule of 3. You know, I won't buy anything until its third iteration, because that's when I feel like it's grounded itself well enough for it to be worth it. We're only on the first version of the Flip. We're only on the first version of the Fold.
So basically, we're at the 2. We're at 2. All right,
I'm still gonna say 1 because
devices.
it's the same mechanism. It's the same mechanism. It's not like there were any improvements on the Fold over the Flip.
The improvement is in the hinge, actually, and Jerry-rig everything did in fact prove that hinge is way better against sand and dirt and dust and all that.
That's because it has a quote unquote brush on the inside that keeps it clean, and I like that, and that's something that will down the line affect the Fold too. Something that down the line will affect or be improved upon the Flip too. Because everyone knows that there will be a sequel. Samsung's not going to give up now.
No, they put too much money in this. They're not going to give it up.
Exactly. So I expect something better next year. Fuck. I'll even.
No, it won't be even. It won't be even next year. It'll be another 6 months from now.
Yeah, when the
it'll be later. It'll be in the fall. They'll come out with another Fold. They'll come out with like the Fold 2.
Yep, when the Note Unpacked comes out.
The stream we should be up, bro. We're good.
Galaxy Unpacked last year was the Fold.
No, we're good. We're still on.
We're still on. As far as I can tell, we're still on.
Everything's working.
All right. Well,
as far as I can see, because I have the stream pulled up. I'm not even on the.
I have both. I have it up on my personal channel and then the cast channel, so we should be good.
Yeah.
I'm seeing the live symbol still.
That's weird.
All I'm gonna say is then before we finish this, the next big development for this phone will be graphene, and I'm positive graphene will make the difference.
But it won't be until late next year,
or even the following year.
All right, that's the problem.
Moving on.
All right, so we have South Korea saying we're moving to Linux basically because we all know
I like that.
Windows 7 is dying. Well, it is dead.
And unless you have Enterprise, but that may not be worth it.
They use Windows 7 in like internet cafes, okay? The reason I feel like they're doing this is because
easy.
It's cheap, it's easy. When Linux is very well understood, especially in the server space. And you can run a bunch of Windows applications through Wine on Linux. That's why Linux gaming is actually sort of viable at the moment. It's not the best option, but
if they wanted
it
to,
works.
They could always dual boot Windows anyways.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I mean, Wine is a thing. Wine is an application and a thing. All right.
Yep.
So, because we heard about this when they first announced that Windows 7 was not going to be getting updates anymore.
Yeah.
So, a bunch of like agencies here in the U.S. were working on possibly moving over to Linux. Probably something Ubuntu based or Fedora based, something to focus on stability. So, hearing South Korea consider Linux over moving to Windows 10, because with Linux you don't have licensing; it's open source. And there are companies that are willing to give you support for Linux. Mainly Red Hat. Red Hat is, well, they do mostly server stuff.
Does any idea what distro they're planning on using? Or is
they mentioned Ubuntu-based Harmonica OS.
Does have support.
Ubuntu.
Yeah, Ubuntu has support, and it also has Canonical, who is a company that supports Ubuntu, and Microsoft also have agreements. That's why you're able to have a Linux kernel run in Windows.
They're the most supported Linux distro.
Yeah, and there's a bunch of, and you also have Chrome OS, which is based off a Linux kernel. They also have, I believe Red Star is a Red Hat installation. It would not surprise me. Yeah, it's based off Red Hat. So, yeah, oh, that's from North Korea. Never mind. So, it does not amaze me that they're moving over to Linux, especially since desktop use for Linux, it's gotten a lot better in the last a few years. Like, the desktop
getting off of Windows also removes Windows
backdoors.
Yeah, that
and possible security openings.
Mm-hmm.
All right. It's just that like you'd have to like the software you use, you won't have straight up access and ease of use of installing new software. It's still easy, but it's different because Linux you don't just majority of the time you don't download something off your web browser. Most people consider that's what you do on computers anyway. You download software from your web browser and you install on your computer. Linux is not like that. So you have the repositories, and there's a few times where you can get an installation off of, online, but that's really for Debian systems because instead of like a .exe file or MSI file, all right, their equivalent is DEB file. All right, that's how you get like something like TeamViewer or official Google Chrome, because you can get Chromium itself through a Debian Debian repository. So instead of downloading stuff from the internet, you have to move over to a package manager. Do you understand?
Yeah.
So basically an app store, but not an actual app store. Alright. Now they have created visual interfaces for them. For example, you have the Ubuntu store, you have stuff like the PopShop, Pop OS. Arch is not like it's not the nicest looking interface. It's not like a store where you can go on like a marketplace, but it is a visual program to download stuff from the Arch repositories and AUR. So you have access to the software, and plus you don't have big companies like Adobe or mainly Adobe for like content creators moving over to Linux yet.
Yeah.
I'm
it's
not
gonna be interesting to see what
IT.
what happens.
I'm a CS student and I'm always messing with stuff, but I played around a bunch of Linux distributions and I have a few Linux servers running right now for a VPN and a ad blocking DNS.
I'd like to consider myself a little bit of a entrepreneur in the process of potentially trying to get myself and one other and Jerry certified in like Comp ITA and maybe network to try and start a small business, but it's a little bit outside the point for that.
And plus, Linux is easy to tailor. All right, if you want a Linux distribution that looks very similar to Windows, you can do it.
Yep.
All right. So the only thing is, you lose native on-device Word. You can't use it through the browser. You
Word
can't use
didn't come with
Microsoft
Windows anymore. Anyways, they needed to use Windows 365 for that. So they
Yeah.
were probably not using Word anymore, anyways.
Alright. But you can still technically use Microsoft Office. It's just through a web browser, or if you install through Wine. All right.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you'll have to use a another third-party Office suite, which there's a bunch of them out there, and they're all pretty good. All right. Microsoft's still the best, but these are still very usable and easy to look at. All right.
I found that out of the various versions, not Office, LibreOffice.
Yeah, those are what's installed by default.
Is the best. LibreOffice is the most comprehensive.
Yes, and Google Docs is a thing.
Docs
Google
is
Docs
definitely
is
Alright.
also really
They
good.
could move it all
I
online.
like Docs for the shareability. The fact that I can create a document, invite someone to work on it with me, and then, and the enterprise space is important. The school districts use it, but Docs is definitely the nicest.
I could see them moving over completely to a web-based application and just have a Linux distribution.
Yeah.
That basically is like a glorified version of Firefox.
Honestly, that's what we use for
It's basically what Chrome
organize
OS
our
is.
Yep.
All right.
Docs is definitely is what we use to organize our week.
And plus, the Linux
figure out
overhead.
what topics we want.
The Linux overhead is very small, so you can take the we're mainly looking like office spaces, really. All right.
Yeah.
So you can take even like these Windows computers, all right. Get even cheaper ones and have a Linux distribution on it that literally just runs a browser. All right. And it's extremely cheap on the hardware, meaning it's very, very easy to move over if you're just using web-based applications.
I don't have much experience with Linux. I would like to learn a little bit.
Linux is fun. Just boot up a VM, boot up Ubuntu, Debian, it doesn't matter. Linux, break it. Try your best to break it. You will probably sooner or later. All right.
I'd probably end up either getting you or Adam to help install it. I am considering.
No, it's not hard to install. A lot of them actually use GUIs now. Very few of them actually you have to install manually through the command line.
Gotcha.
All right. You can basically installing Ubuntu is basically just as easy as installing Windows, except you actually don't have you don't need to worry about a license key.
All right, so we're gonna jump on moving forward. Just we've been at this.
You can most stuff that runs on a Pi is a Linux-based system, unless you're talking about the little there is a version of Windows that will run on Raspberry Pi, but no one really uses it. No one uses that at all, really. They all run Raspbian, which is a version of Debian built to run on a Raspberry Pi.
Raspbian.
All right, so well, for our next topic for the night, our Intel mimicking the brain.
Oh yeah, I found this article earlier. So this PCB is ridiculous. Look at it.
Yeah.
Look at this thing.
All right. We can't really look at it when you're. Yeah, there it is. So it's a neuromorphic product, and it simulates. It uses it simulates the biological brain by mimicking networks of neurons. 64 small chips together simulate 8.3 million neurons, and it's meant for like AI processing, which is super dope.
Just basically take the
So
what is
the one that they have pictured is actually only equivalent to like a brain with about 8.3 million neurons.
Yeah,
that's still a lot.
The human brain has an estimated close to 100 billion neurons.
Yeah.
We're looking at it's
a matter of time.
It is a matter of time.
Like
the fact that it's possible is a scary thing, though.
We're talking about like 1/225,000th.
All right, well, put it like this. Imagine throwing like 10, 15, 20, even 30 of them together on one supercomputer.
Okay, well, I mean, yes, but you could throw enough of them together to actually be equivalent of the human brain.
Yes, that's where I'm getting with that.
But that's only if they can integrate that like that.
Yep.
Otherwise, they're gonna have to make a different one with 100 billion neuron chips.
Not yet, bro.
Closer to their own simulation.
Nope, not yet.
It's only 64 chips for 8.3 billion neurons. So how many chips do you think you need for 100 billion neurons?
Don't worry, those chips get smaller in newer generation.
There's math there, guys.
Yeah, but for Moore's law, it's gonna be node scaling, process node scaling, lots of it.
Yeah.
That's exactly what the article says.
Over time.
The article goes on to make some points about like some key locations that should be used: self-driving vehicles, automation for like robots. Yeah.
We're getting closer and closer to Skynet.
And that's a terrifying thought.
Don't worry about it. We're almost there.
I'm not familiar with this particular segment of technology.
This is new.
AI and quantum computing is kind of a little bit out of my...
This is like machine learning turned up to 11.
Zones. Yeah. So are we going to create more racist Twitter bots?
Sure, why not? I'm ready for it. I can't wait to see the robot internet trolls.
What if Corona is China's Skynet attacking? Oh god. No.
It's over.
No, fam. We're done.
It's over.
Nah, that's it. I really don't have much to say on this. It's just a cool development, seeing more processing nodes and more the potential simulation of the brain. I imagine that this will be used extremely heavily in in the enterprise space. I can't imagine consumers being even able to purchase one
No,
of these.
this is not a consumer product. This
No,
is something
not
for
in the slightest.
development.
All right. So you would need about 771,084 of
He
those
did the math on this.
of those actual bricks that he's got to emulate the human brain.
That's like an
Hold on,
entire
I'm
warehouse.
popping
You
this
would
in
need-
there.
771,084. Because you do 64 over 8.3 million, and then X over 100 billion.
Post that entire number in
And
the
then
chat,
just-
bro.
Then
He
just
did the
solve
math.
for X. Solve for X.
He did the math.
Jesus Christ. That's like an entire warehouse full of those just linked up.
Yeah, a couple server racks, that's for sure.
Couple.
Couple
You said
server racks.
760 what?
Yeah, pretty much 800,000.
800,000. Yeah.
800,000 of those bricks.
Bezos needs to do it.
Server rack.
Don't worry, he'll come up later.
You would need an entire Bitcoin factory's worth.
Too bad Bitcoin's
You
dead.
ever seen a Bitcoin factory?
Oh no, I've seen those things. Alright,
Bitcoin's value today was went back. I think it went.
I should have bought into it like about like a month ago when it was down
No,
to
we
like.
should have bought into it over the weekend.
Yeah, when
Is
it
it
dropped
is it back up?
$2,000. Yeah, it's
Dropped
back up.
$2,000, and then we should have known to buy it then.
Yeah, Bitcoin is up 5% today at nearly $10,140.
5% is a lot for
It's
Bitcoin.
still up to it's still up back to what it was before.
Eh.
All right. Well,
Our next
Facebook
topic,
companies-
just to move on, is Facebook companies, not specifically a Facebook company, but a company that uses Facebook to propagate information. Its entire goal is to not telling the truth. Who'd have think it?
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
No truth.
this brings up the debate again. Is Facebook a publisher or a platform? Because if they're a platform, then this is all under a company that says this.
They like
If
the
if they are a publisher, it's on Facebook.
I want to say
Alright. Facebook wants to be in that gray area. Facebook wants to be in that gray area where
Yeah, because
they
the
don't.
fucking lizard man doesn't want responsibility, but wants responsibility all at the same time.
Yes,
They want to be a platform, but they also want to have.
the control of a publisher.
Yeah, and that's not how this works.
Yeah,
Either
exactly.
one or the other.
That sounds a lot like Blizzard. Now that I think about it. Never mind.
That's-
Okay, we'll do that one next time we get a nice chunk of change from.
It's
Yeah.
a big problem. All right,
What the fuck? What kind of ads are you looking at, David?
I can't. All right, I can't view this article unless I turn off ads.
I can view it. I just fucking scroll down a little bit, and there's a goddamn super prego right there.
That's a fake photo. I saw that freaking thing
I
a while
know, I
ago.
know. It's just fucking weird.
I know. People are asses.
Goddamn internet.
Yeah.
But this whole controversy is ridiculous. And
I'm gonna move over to
Facebook even came out and said, like, we don't support this kind of shit. But
they
here it is.
they can't do anything about it though. It's either
but
yeah, you can't do it.
it's
Yeah,
like
we have a little bit of a
Facebook
longer
is
one tonight, don't
fucking
we?
Forum. I don't get why people don't understand that Facebook is just trying to be like a forum,
Yeah.
but for your personal life.
Yes.
We're running an hour and a half tonight. Although I think last week we ran for 2.5, and
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
week
Last week
3
we
and
were
week
2
2
and a
we
half,
ran
so we're
a-
actually
Well,
going through this pretty
we do have another interesting thing to talk about.
We're definitely going to accelerate this tonight.
It turns out that Microsoft's remote desktop protocol service for Windows 10, Windows Server
Support
2008,
for
and
Windows 7
2008
has-
R2
Jesus.
are still being used across the globe, especially in our home hospitals. And here's the thing: Microsoft issued a patch for Bluekeep, which was a protocol hack that happened in May 2019, and Blue Keep could be deployed as a worm in a similar fashion to Eternal Blue, which is what powered WannaCry. Do you guys remember the WannaCry attack?
Yeah.
It was the one that knocked out the. It was the most high-profile victim of the UK's National Health Service.
Yeah.
Which had multiple hospital networks taken offline by the incident.
It's scary.
Although, despite warnings over a potential threat, large numbers of standard Windows systems and bespoke medical devices running Windows remain vulnerable to Blue Keep attacks. They've not even been updated. There was a software update for this, and 22% of all Windows devices in a typical hospital are exposed to this.
Yeah.
When it comes to connected medical devices running on Windows, the figure rises to 45%, which means almost half of these devices are vulnerable to Blue Keep.
Yes.
Which means all someone has to do is take the fucking virus that killed thousands of hospitals in Europe and point it somewhere else and go, have fun.
It's not.
Go destroy everything.
It's not legal. All right.
No, but I'm saying that someone could do this.
Oh, I see. He's talking about currency.
I mean, people who commit crimes don't care if it's legal.
Oh, you're talking about the currency? Yo, well.
No.
He's talking. Oh, yeah, I know.
I'm talking about the hospital stuff.
Yeah, I know. I was talking about gadgets in the chat real quick.
Oh,
okay. It's legal. The government, currency is just a way of trading goods. All right, it doesn't matter how you do it. It's good to have government backing on some things.
What a gadget asked about?
How is this legal? Currency should be regulated. When you regulate currency, government could inflate and cause loss of value and a bunch of things. So having a way to that's why gold is valuable.
Well, right? it's more like a money squish. Your $2 is the same as now $1. It's just there's just less overall dollars, but
it's basically just think of it like gold.
It's like if you had
gold's value doesn't go away. Gold's value stays the same no matter how much inflation there is. Okay, that's basically what Bitcoin is.
It's like this, David. If you had half the amount of money and everything you purchased only cost half of what it usually did, would there be a difference? Not really.
Yeah. But it's just think of it like this, guys.
That's what
it's basically digital gold. Okay.
Yeah. Well, so, you can only mine so much of each coin.
Yeah, that's why it's a demand. Like,
but
and that's why increases by the difficulty.
Value. That's the whole reason it has value.
Yeah, it's because it's difficult to get.
Yep.
That's the same thing with gold. It's difficult to get gold.
So, in other words, the people are trying to get all these things off the hospitals. They're saying if you can't update these devices and you can't get them changed, you need to get them replaced.
Yes.
With
this
ones
is scary.
That are affected. Because think about it, Windows 7 is no longer supported, which means that unless these things are using Enterprise, which I'm not sure if they are.
They probably are using Enterprise. Just because
I know,
they're
but
hospitals.
in the case that they aren't, they no longer get updates for that either. So basically, all of these devices are all running really old software that could practically be hacked in another month or two with a new exploit that comes out, because
possibly a man-in-the-middle attack.
Dude, as soon as software becomes dead, it's the most vital time for hackers to come in and figure out all the things wrong with it, because there's not going to be that many more updates.
See, I had this conversation with my dad the other night too about his Galaxy S7. He has his phone is 2 years out of date pretty much as of March.
7?
And he has a Galaxy
8,
S7.
9, 10,
11.
3
We're
years.
on the S20. We're on the S20 in March.
That's 4 years.
4 generations. Samsung only promises 3 years, so his phone is a year out of date, and he's still on Android 8.0. So that tells you that his phone is even further than that, because he's 2 years out on his Android OS updates. He's got the August security patch though. But that's still, an August security patch.
Android 8?
Yeah, he's on Android
8. That's the reason why I upgraded my my grandpa's iPhone. He was running an old iPhone 5C,
It's the
which
same
was
reason
stuck
why I
on
try and
iOS
upgrade
9.
once every 2.5 years, because I don't want to rely on sheer luck.
Well, for Samsung devices, if I'm correct, it's only like 4 years at maximum.
3 years security updates for 4 potentially.
Yeah, that's why I have my family on iOS, just because it's at least like a good 6 years.
Yeah.
All right, they still support the iPhone 7. Okay. The iPhone 7 is pretty old now.
That is one thing.
All right, so that's why I have most of my family on because most of my family's not as technically literate as me or you guys. They're very they don't know what to do. My mom didn't even know she had folders on her freaking computer until like 3 months ago. She didn't know what folders were. Okay.
Fantastic. All right.
So that's my family. All right.
All right. So on the other side of the world, Justin.
So Ireland being is a whistleblower for Russia. This comes from Business Insider. Russian intelligence agents reportedly went to Ireland so they can inspect undersea cables, thus reigniting fears that they should cut them entirely and take entire countries offline. Whether or not this is a legit fear is to be determined. I would like to say that regardless of how rogue a nation Russia can be at times, she is a relatively stable player in the world as of this moment.
I'm more afraid of China than I am of Russia.
Yeah, I'd be more afraid of China taking out undersea cables than anyone else. But that's, I guess, completely outside the point. So Irish security services believe that agents were sent by Russia's Foreign Intelligence Agency, the GRU, and are checking the fiber optic cables for weak points. This comes from Sunday Times, citing police and military sources. They were seen monitoring Dublin port, which prompted the country to ramp up security at a number of landing sites along the Irish coast. So, I guess a game of spies at the moment. Whether or not these fears are to be founded are a completely different story. It just goes to show how vulnerable, though, the vast majority of global networking really is. I mean, how often do you think people go out and check on those undersea cables? How often do you think people go and check cable grounding sites and so on? I mean, it must not be very often for this to be a legitimate fear.
Very little, but like you can see the map of this right now, on stream. You see the entire map of like all these
I don't believe cables. I can see the map at the moment, but you're scrolling down now. I see.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. Look at the network.
There's ridiculous. Hundreds of miles, and how often?
Look how many are where we are. Look how where Florida is. There's like 20 coming out.
Yeah, and how often do you think the security or maintenance?
Very rarely.
Take a look.
Because I believe they're fiber optic, right?
There are fiber optic cables, yes.
So that's just glass down there.
Yeah, and that's not even to say that the Russians would be an issue. Anything could be an issue. God forbid a ship sinks and crushes the cable. Yeah. I mean, there's an
earthquake.
I do believe for the most part, though, they are buried underground, but they're close enough to the surface, or buried under the sea surface. But I do believe that there is enough distance between the where the cables are buried or grounded and objects that could potentially damage them. Regardless, it is hundreds and hundreds of miles of cable that, for all intents and purposes, is unmonitored and unprotected.
It's basically we just hold we just have faith in it.
As far as we know, it's supposed to be like I guess it's supposed to be a common law. Don't fuck with the network, but. Or not law per se, but like I guess maybe like a belief, kind of like rules of war. Don't bring shotguns.
Unless you're America.
Yeah, America can get away with that because shotguns fuck yeah, but yeah.
You're crazy motherfuckers, okay?
But supposedly Ireland, The Irish police and military sources suspect the GRU is using Ireland as an operations base to gather intelligence on targets in the EU and the UK. The Times said. Another reason for the Russians' presence could be Dublin's place as one of Europe's largest tech hubs, as authorities suspect the agents could also be spying on large companies. According to the Times, Google, Airbnb, Facebook, and Twitter all have headquarters in the city. The country also presents itself as an ideal target for the Russians. Mark Galetti, an expert on transnational crime and Russian security at the Royal United Service Institute think tank, told the Times. So Ireland is pretty much a soft target for the Russians to go and fuck with if they absolutely need to. But
yeah,
again, I'd be more inclined to believe that China would fuck around with that shit versus the versus Russia.
Yeah, I don't think Russia really cares.
I think
China
Russia's
would.
just being Russia. China though is China got called out recently for members of its intelligence service actively stealing intellectual properties from companies.
Like Apple, Apple's the biggest one. There are more. Google, I think, is another one.
Google was a target.
Yeah. So
who was it? The U.S. I think it was the defense secretary was talking about it on the news. There were like 4 or 5 accused Chinese military members over it.
Yeah.
It's just a general problem. I firmly believe that whether or not Russia wants to steal tech, they're probably not going to, because for the most part they're in America's good graces, and at this moment.
Right now we are not in a crazy foreign squabbles.
Yeah.
Here in America.
Outside of China.
No, well, not even that much with China. It's more of this economy thing with China.
Yeah, right? And China's economy's falling apart for obvious reasons.
Yeah. So it's not like there's big global tensions. The closest thing to big global tension is like Western countries.
Brexit?
And yeah, not even Brexit.
Right? Brexit finally went through.
Yeah, Brexit went through under the new thing. The biggest problem here would be like Iran and stuff like that.
The Middle East.
Yeah, the Middle East is basically
Saudi Arabia, I believe.
Yeah. Well, no, Saudi Arabia is actually we're on pretty good terms with. Well, Saudi Arabia is very like friendly.
Soft Brexit.
For soft Brexit, but Saudi Arabia is one of the countries that most of the West is okay with, and they're pretty okay. We have different like ideologies in Saudi Arabia, but they're a country that we don't have problems with. We have allies with, and we disagree on things, but it's not something that, yeah.
So there's actually 2 separate phases for the full Brexit. I didn't realize that. All I knew is that the UK had officially succeeded in one way, shape, or form in pulling out.
Yeah.
Good to know.
But
so it's not completely over yet.
The only country I see interfering with these lines, there's a bunch of them all over in like the areas around the Middle East. You see this?
The Pacific is the big one. You can see coming off of the Pacific coast of the U.S. where there's a huge number of them.
Mm-hmm.
Oh well, but that's not. It's not. I doubt it's much of a concern. This isn't where I parked my car.
Okay. All
right. Speaking of cars, the Tesla perfect segue.
Actually, perfect timing.
A teardown of, I think it was the Tesla Model 3, shows that the electronics in the vehicle are apparently 6 years ahead of what Toyota and Volkswagen and many other manufacturers are putting out, and that says a lot. Well, I actually am going to be honest. It doesn't say. It says a lot about Toyota. Toyota intentionally has chosen to avoid putting Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, as well as a couple other modern commodities, into their vehicles up until recently, because they believed it wasn't necessary, and now they're finally like moving ahead with their plans to modernize, which came at the same time as their new design language. And I love Toyota, so I follow this pretty hard. But that's again.
They actually use water. Well, is this actual water cooling or is this vapor chamber stuff?
I'm pretty sure it's like vapor chamber.
I'm pretty sure too.
I don't know. That looks like a radiator. If you
that does look like a radiator. That's why.
And there's actual like fittings and cable coming off of that. It might actually be real water cooling on their computer.
If that's some shit then.
Yeah, Tesla has designed everything for themselves, everything in the last decade, while others have been modernizing slowly. So, yeah, so Tesla has literally come up in the age of
Elon Musk
technology.
just throws money at the problem, okay?
Yeah, Toyota's been Toyota, Ford, Volkswagen. They've all been companies since the 30s and 40s, and 50s and 60s for anything more modern. Whereas Tesla, like you said,
They've only been out for
that
less
just
than
is
10 years.
yeah. And a perfect example of their kind of growth is in stock portfolios. If you look, not even 4 or 5 years ago, their stock was worth like $30. Now they're an $802 per share stock. The kind of growth that they've had just from throwing money at the problem is insane.
It's ridiculous. Like this.
I remember watching a teardown of their motor, and reading about it, and supposedly their motor is outside of all the electronics on the car, their motor is probably the most amazing thing.
Dude, that thing goes so fast. It goes so fast, so like.
It's all fucking magnets. It's literally like a magnetic levitation bearing from a Corsair fan on the inside. It's ridiculous.
It goes from 0 to 100 so fast. All right, and there's no dead time between like the pistons and everything going in a traditional gas powered car. Yeah. It's near instantaneous because
there's no delay. Like when you accelerate in a traditional car, depending on how old your car is, you either. So I had a 2005 Camry before the car I have now.
Yeah.
My Camry had a chain, and when I stepped on the gas, it pulled the chain back. Which, when I stepped on the accelerator, it pulled a chain or a wire, which in turn told the engine it's time to accelerate. Pulled something in the engine that said move. Gas goes into the combustion chamber, goes boom, pistons ignite, and so on. My 2019 Yaris is I think it's a wire. So I step on it.
It's a digital acceleration.
Yeah. Teslas don't have to worry about that. There's no pistons that need to move. There's no gas in the combustion.
There's less moving parts.
Engine. Less points of failure.
Yeah.
Less points of failure or delay. And so Tesla's reputation kind of hinges on that. And that's why I'm really, outside of just Tesla, I'm really looking forward to companies that follow Tesla's model. So like Rivian being a big one. I really cannot wait to see what Rivian comes out with, or how efficient their process is with their vehicles.
I think the transmission's freaking like software based, if anything. It would not amaze me if they're just like a giant computer and a battery just hooked up to giant like freaking wheels, bro. I believe that's basically what the car is.
For what, the Teslas?
Yes. Because they don't necessarily have an engine. So I don't know. I could be completely wrong. I don't know much about Teslas, but I will tell you one thing. My dad, he had one of his clients. He got a Tesla and he was allowed to test drive it.
It's a CVT. It's a CVT.
What is a CVT?
So continuously varied transmission. Okay. I'm not specifically sure because I don't know the real makings of the vehicle, but there are.
It's not like it's hidden or anything though. It's just that there's not information on it because people apparently just don't care. But what is it?
There's no gearing. It's a computer that adjusts the amount of.
That's what I'm talking about.
It's a computer that adjusts the amount of spin the motor provides, which is the RPMs. It adjusts the amount of RPMs needed as you're going, and it does it independently of any sort of gears.
Now,
all modern vehicles, unless you're buying a manual, have CVTs. Some cars have a fixed first gear that transitions to a CVT after acceleration for the purpose of more efficient acceleration. So the one thing that a fixed first gear does is it's increased acceleration, and it's more stable. It's a lot smoother because a CVT has a slight delay when you step on the gas and start moving in a direction because it takes time for the computer to say, all right, I need to do that. So that's processing power. Whereas with a fixed first gear, you just go, and then the computer knows I need to pick off after this RPM point, and it just goes.
Well, here's the thing. My dad test drove one of these from one of the people he did work for. All right, and He said that car, he felt so scared in the car, not because it was an expensive car, because how fast it accelerated. All right.
Yeah, I'd agree
he was
with that.
so beyond scared in the car just because of how fast and like how too responsive it was.
If you've ever been fortunate, even outside of just Teslas, if you've ever been fortunate enough to drive a beefy car, like my first personal car was a Lexus GS 300 from 2001. It was a big 6-cylinder engine, and I learned to drive on a BMW 5 Series. It was the sport model. It was the 5250i. Basically, the pickup on those vehicles is insane. Like my Lexus was 0 to 60 in like 5. No, I wish I was rich. I just learned to drive on those vehicles. I got a hand-me-down Lexus GS 300. It was used by like 6 people before I got my hands on it. My dad just happened to, for his midlife crisis when he hit 50, bought the. No, you're good. Bought the BMW. But
this is ridiculous. Like most of the car is a computer.
What you missed for the Windows X, what you missed for the Windows X was just kind of like a first look at what the product was. It wasn't really much discussion. It was just talking about Microsoft going to ARM processing or ARM processing.
And what the actual like UI looked like.
Yep, it's just a clean mobile version of
Windows.
Windows.
It's very it's nothing like Windows 8.
Yeah.
It's very clean down. It's nothing too crazy. It's basically just built for their folding and 2-screen laptops.
Yep. But for the Tesla, no, we're not getting another Windows phone.
No.
So the Windows X was designed for Windows X was designed for the Surface Neo, which is their dual screen folding tablet Surface type thing. And it will potentially be the background for the Aero launcher on the Surface Duo, which will be an Android phone when it drops. And it may also have ramifications to the Surface Pro X or the Surface X. I'm not sure if it's called the Surface Pro X. The Surface X, which is their ARM or their ARM-based Surface that was announced in October last year, and it's officially out. The problem with it is that it uses 32-bit and 64-bit emulation in order to run its basic processes because there's no ARM-based Windows version out yet.
No, there is.
Keyword. Oh, there is?
Yeah, Windows. Remember the N versions?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, those are ARM-based.
Yeah, they're not super efficient though, and and Windows X will probably end up being the more efficient version of them.
But there are versions of Windows.
Yep.
Out there that's ARM.
I guess we'll close out the night with our last topic because it's almost 9 o'clock. With Jerry, finish it up.
So Jeff Bezos did his $10 billion fund for the fight climate change. Those are his words. Today I'm thrilled to announce I'm launching the Bezos Earth Fund. Climate change is the biggest threat to our planet. I want to work alongside others both to amplify known ways and explore new ways of fighting the devastating impact of climate change on this planet we all share. Essentially, he's committing $10 billion to start issuing grants starting this summer.
Basically, he's incentivizing product development for
$10 billion in grants.
Yeah, that's a lot of grants you can possibly give out. All right.
Next, we need to get Jeff Bezos a mini me.
Look at the head, bro.
Yeah, way better than that. Well, between Microsoft and Jeff Bezos, with Microsoft's carbon neutral pledge by 2050, or carbon neutral by like 2025, and carbon negative by the 2050s, I'm impressed with the direction this is all going.
Well, I rather see this. Like, I like seeing the grants part of it, as it's not forcing anyone. It's actually incentivizing businesses and everything to actually go out and create something.
I'm going there.
All
Once again, they are throwing money at...
They are throwing money at the problem, but this is still good.
Yeah, I know.
This is still really good.
That's why I think it's funny.
Right.
All the fucking billionaires are like, the Earth needs to be saved.
Okay, and they throw their money at it. This is good. If they throw their money at it, it causes people to build things that are good for the planet. That's good. It's not a bad
100%. That's good.
It's not a bad thing. If you give someone a reason to do something, they will do it.
Yeah, that they will.
So if you're giving out a shitload of money to build stuff that are good for the environment, I don't see that as a bad problem. I don't see that as a bad thing. I see that as a bad thing when you are forced to do it. Alright? If you're forced to do it, that's a problem. If you have a reason to do it, even if it's to make money, you're still doing something good, even if it's not for the right reason.
Yep. For my environmental science classes in my first year at PBSC, I had to do a project on a new set of like devices to remove carbon from the air in factories, and it's nice to see like more options on that.
No, grants are just money you give out.
I know.
So,
but those grants would go to funding and stuff like that on factories.
Yeah. So basically, just a grant is money you give. You're just giving out money, basically. All right. Now you got to do something to get that money, but once you have that money, it's yours.
Yep.
All right. There's probably a so they won't own anything that's built.
No,
right?
this is all like it's like doing federal grants for research.
Yes.
The government doesn't take all of what you researched and make it theirs.
But the
government
have two
provides you money to do your research.
You must do the research. You can't just take the money and run. All right. And it has to. Well, I believe that's the only thing. It has to. There has to be testing on it and everything. Basically, as soon as he gives out this money, all right.
There's a couple.
He doesn't have any. He has no stake in the products that are being developed. He has no stakes. He has.
Well, that doesn't say that. That doesn't go to say that he might not eventually.
He might. He can buy them, but at that point, that's still voluntary. That's still voluntary. They don't have to be bought out by him. They can be. All right.
It would be like Shark Tank, hypothetically in that case. But in this situation, he's providing money for research, so people can go to do something with that money to fix the environment.
Yes.
And that's really all there is.
But he doesn't own any of it.
No, fortunately.
He can buy it.
Whether he will is to be determined.
Yeah, he could buy it, but the money that he gives out to people, all right, he has no stake after that. And once he gives the money out, that money is theirs.
Yep.
Okay, that's how the grants work.
And I do believe not federal. I do believe grants are non-taxable either. So I believe.
So. I believe that's a good thing too. They're non-taxable.
Yeah. So this is money that companies, people, engineers, whoever amounts down to using this money. This is money that these people get practically free of charge, as long as it's going to fix the environment in some way, shape, or form.
It's a good thing. All right. Yeah. I like seeing this.
I look forward to seeing Warren Buffett counter Jeff Bezos and say, "Fuck you! I'm dropping 20
if they put more money towards this, it's better. All right.
Yep.
It's better to give some people a reason to do something.
Yeah.
All right. Even if it's for greed and money, if they do something to help the planet. Right?
Well,
that's not a problem anyway. Because if you want, you could do it just because you like it. But
it's like that tree planting thing that a lot of the big YouTubers and Twitch streamers are doing. Linus built a fucking air compressor in order to shoot trees into the ground, for fuck's sake.
All right. This is not a bad thing. All right.
It's not.
Is beautiful. This is a wonderful thing. And I want to see more of this. I want to see more of this. I want to see more private investors in this because they have the money to do this. All right, and it's good.
Yeah.
All right.
I think that wraps us up tonight, though. We appreciate all of you guys who've been in here since the very beginning. I've been keeping
spread the word. Spread the word, please.
Yes, I've been keeping an eye on the stream chat and the numbers of people in here throughout the night, and we really, honestly appreciate all of you. Since this is our 5th video, you know, I'd place bets having an average tonight of like 20 or 30 viewers based on the number of people I've seen come through. We love you all. We hope to see you again next Tuesday or Wednesday, dependent on whether or not we fluctuate on our schedule again, but. It is a weekly thing, so
we try our best to do this.
We're all working adults with some of us with doing full-time college and
jobs
and jobs. So we really do appreciate this. This is a pastime for us, and it's a passion.
It's fun. We do this for the fun of it.
But yeah. For everyone that's still here, enjoy your evening.
Before we go, I do want to mention the YouTube channel is going to be up soon.
Yeah, we're
I do have to re-upload the videos because apparently they had processing problems. But when that comes out, it'll definitely be up by the next time the cast is up.
And hopefully next time we're online, we'll have some sort of profile picture, maybe an intro, and or a banner / bio for the channel completed.
But the sad thing is, the first 2 podcasts are lost to Tasha's time, everyone.
They're lost to the annals of history.
Yeah.
And time.
We have everything from the 3rd podcast and up, but the first 2 are gone. The start is gone, but
yeah, it's whatever. Shit happens. We weren't really 100% prepared to do this anyway. We just kind of got all the equipment together, said let's do this tonight for the first time, and just kind of winged it.
Yeah, we did it. That's all it was. We just got it all together. We said screw it. Let's just do it, and we did it, and we're here.
Yep. Once again, though, we sincerely appreciate all of you. There's a chance I might be streaming tonight in like half hour to an hour, maybe some CS. I'm waiting to hear back from our I want to call him our team lead because that's really what he is, but he's really just a Smurf, a dirty stinking Smurf. We should all be online for that, hopefully. If
What's
not,
his real rank?
Tomorrow.
Like, what would he be ranked if he was?
I believe the highest. I don't know all the super.
Is he global elite?
I think he.
That's what the highest rank is, as far as I know.
I don't think he was the highest. I think
maybe
Adam
like
got
gold Nova.
No, I'm pretty sure he got to like Ellie.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, he's playing in Silver 3 right now.
Yeah,
he's trying to carry Jerry's ass through, and I guess all of our yeah.
His back hurts.
He's a lovable Polish oaf who's also happens to be a cybersecurity major and kind of helps us out when we need it with regards to picking out information for our streams.
Yeah.
So we give him some credit too when it comes to talking about security because he really forms the backbone of our knowledge on that, or at least mine. I'm not sure about David particularly.
Oh no, we have giant talks. Trust me, I talk to Jeff and Adam all the time about this shit.
I believe it. But for now, we bid all of you guys adieu.
Night, guys.
Take it easy, man.
I think Jerry's in a